Hey, what's up guys? It's Brian and Liz here, FPO2, take 2. So we're gonna talk on this video. We're gonna keep it going. We actually had a really good time doing the first video. We know it's a little bit lengthy. I don't know if this is back to back or if we separated this between vlogs. You normally handle that. Obviously, we're in the same
We have some other things going on this week, so I think we're gonna do a couple different vlogs in between like each segment.
Yeah, because we're going up north tomorrow.
Yes.
Or Thursday. And then out of town this weekend. But anyway, those videos will come. But we wanted to share on this video some of our dating stories. Yep. And how we got engaged, maybe. That might make it to the next video.
Depends on how long we go.
Yeah, we don't want to keep you guys held captive here for about 30 minutes, okay? Which we are notorious for running very long, right? So it's really funny though. We dated for about 13 months, which wasn't good, bad. It was just our story. We had started dating, what was the date? 10, 11, 12. 10, 11, 12. Because one of our best friends got married on 9, 10, 11. And we started dating 10, 11, 12. Yep. So like, thank God for a guy, right? Like that's way easier to remember that versus anything else. So we had started dating. The very first date, if you heard the very first video, which we'll leave a card if you guys haven't watched that one yet, so you can come up to speed. But we had started dating in October. We had dated a whole year long, obviously, for 13 months. Yep. And then we got engaged. So what stories do you want to share with these guys? The Disney ones, the good, the bad. How did everything transpire?
So when we first started dating, I was like a little rough around the edges. Right. I think it's fair enough to say.
So this will be good because this is gonna make me like take a trip down memory lane. Yeah. Normally I have this mental mechanism, as most guys do, where I block things out. So Liz, okay, let's just go from the extremes. Okay, so when I met you, and I have my faults too, so this isn't like a rag session, okay? But you were smoking casually. Yeah. You were drinking casually. You had a Christina Aguilera little nose piercing, and I was like, what? You weren't having your hair dyed for a little while. You were just kind of like doing this hippie thing. I don't know what it was.
I basically lived my life like Kesha.
Like Kesha, yeah. With a bottle of Jack. Oh my God. And you were going to Kesha concerts. You had went out to a couple other like EDM type things. Yeah,
we actually started dating in October. I remember specifically November 11th I had taken off because I was going to go downtown to Florida to go to Electronic Daisy Carnival or Festival. I don't remember which. Whatever.
Totally. Anyways, an adult environment.
Yeah, and probably get into some trouble and like just not the best environment.
You don't know me.
And this poor little boy started dating me and had no idea what he was in for.
This little cherub, which I'm not perfect either.
I just remember after we left the coffee shop, I went home after like our first like meeting, not even a date, it was like a meeting.
Interview.
Interview. And I remember going home and my stepmom was still awake on the couch when I got there. And she was like the first person I saw. Like, I don't think it would have mattered if it was a friend, my dad, like just the first person I saw, I was like, oh my God, I just met this guy. Like, he has his stuff together. Like, he's the one. Like, I remember specifically telling her like, holy crap, like I am like head over heels. Like, I can't even believe it. And I just saw something different in you. And instead of going to let's call it what it is, like a rave in Florida, I decided that because I already had the time off anyway and like money like saved up and like some points and like whatever, that we would take a trip to Chicago. Yep. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And
we took a train ride to Chicago. It was literally a 2-day date, which we're not saying like, probably wasn't a good idea to get back on it, but we got a hotel for 1 night or 2 nights? 1 night, I think it was.
I think it might only have been 1 night.
Yeah, which isn't the Christian thing to do, right? But we didn't do anything, so don't worry, okay? But we hung out. We took the train out because you could take the train from Ann Arbor, Michigan to Chicago for $66 a person round trip. So for $132, I think it was after taxes, you could go to Chicago. We took the train 7 a.m. I remember like it was yesterday. And we got to Chicago around noon. You gain an hour. And we spent the whole day in Chicago. We went to the Blue Man Group. Yep. Which was so cool. Which was epic. And we were literally just dating. But like most people don't realize, like our first 30 days of dating is like most people's first year. Yeah, actually, I remember those ladies. We're friends with them on Facebook. Yeah. We're sitting on the train. Are they still friends with you? Yeah, and they were like, oh, like
where are you guys going? Like, what are you celebrating? And you jokingly said it was our anniversary because October 11th and it was November 11th. So it was our 1 month dating anniversary. And she was like, oh, I could just tell, like, congratulations. Like, how long have you guys been married?
You guys seem so perfect together.
And we were like, it was like a dating anniversary. Like, we were not married, like, not even close. Like, and she was like so taken back by it because...
Remember we had talked about the 5 Love Languages book?
Yes.
A lot of you guys have commented on that book. We've read it a dozen times as well, and it's a really good book. If you haven't, maybe we can leave a link or something in the description. Go check it out. 5 Love Languages, great book. Well, we ran into like 4 or 5 people just that weekend alone that said, you guys are like perfect together. You guys seem like you have so much fun. Have you guys ever read the 5 Love Language book? And we were like, yeah, we both have. And you had read it in that first month of dating.
Yeah.
And
so like, you know, keep in mind, rough around the edges. Like, one of the first things that he started doing when we first started dating was like, hey, I read this really good book. I think you'll like it. And like, it's like people skills book. Like,
I think you need to read it. Just kidding.
I remember one was Hung with the Tongue.
Yeah.
Getting your words right. And
Wired That Way.
Wired That Way. And the 5 Love Languages. And I think maybe a people skill book too, but I don't remember. Anyways, it was funny because he did it so nicely, but like, I knew there was something different about him. I knew that I needed to grow up, and here was this, in my eyes, very successful guy saying like, here are things I think you'll like, here's like some things you could change, like not changing me, but...
Well, you wanted to be led a little bit, and you wanted to grow, and you wanted to change some lifestyle habits. You told me this. It wasn't like I was like, you need to read these books or we're not dating. You know, it wasn't anything like that. But we had a really good time in Chicago, right? We spent 2 nights there. We went to like the Lux Cafe, Gino's East Pizzeria, right? We went to, which was really good food. We went to the Sears Tower. Don't give me this Willis Tower crap. We went to the Sears Tower. I'm not even from Chicago and I still defend the old name. But we went to the Sears Tower, went into the lobby. They said it would only be a 15-minute wait. No big deal, right? So we waited in the lobby for 15 minutes just to get to the elevators to take you to the middle part of the building, which we found out, which had a 2-hour additional wait. But they don't tell you that when you go in line, so we left that. That was a pretty funny little experience. Rode around some cabbies. That was really cool. Made a bunch of friends and networked a little bit. So our first date anniversary was to Chicago on a train ride, and we stayed at the Lux. Not the Lux Cafe. Intercontinental Hotel, right on the Magnificent Mile. Yes. It was absolutely epic. It was so beautiful. I think the room per night there, looking back on it, was probably $400 or $500 a night. It was stupid, but you had some money saved up. You had a couple bucks. I had a couple bucks, and we didn't really even think about it. So fast forward, right? A couple months later, you know, you started to have this thought that I was the one.
Okay.
Tell them how that went.
So
after one night, you were like, so I really love you, and why don't you tell them that?
I basically was just like, hey, I love you. You'll love me. I know you probably don't right now, and this is probably really weird to say, but we're gonna get married, and that's just kind of like how it is.
I'm gonna have your babies, and we're gonna get together.
And he was like, so nice. He was such a gentleman. He was like, I appreciate you feeling that way. Like, I think that's great that you have those feelings. I'm not there yet.
I was just dating. Like,
and then like
we're exclusively dating.
It was literally like that next weekend. You were like, yeah, I love you too.
Yeah, I love you too. You know, I did. I didn't know what it really meant, like looking back on it, but like I do, and I did, and it was really good. And we started getting a little bit more serious, talking about you know, wanting to maybe get married, get engaged, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, it was really early on, like looking back and like, holy crap! And I was when I was 22 and like. All that
well, by then we were almost 23 and 27, right? And one thing that like I always like to tell people, like our little story here, was the fact that we had dated so much. Like, I've always heard a healthy relationship takes about 15 to 20 hours a week worth of physical time to keep it healthy, and that's true. And I realize, like, when we both get cranky or less love or falling out of love, there's a reason. Like, you need to spend physical time. And for me, that can be tough in the summer when literally it's 12-hour days. I come home, I eat, go to bed, wake up, and it gets really monotonous really quick. But we're doing it for a reason. We always know why. But it was interesting because we had dated almost every day for like the first 3 or 4 months.
Because it was winter and you really didn't do snow removal.
I didn't do any snow removal back then.
And I was a waitress, so I was like free for like half the week. Like, I would work like doubles here and there and like maybe a couple of shifts. So I was only working like...
But you always worked 4 to 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. to 2 in the morning. And it was interesting because I was always able to, while I was still cutting lawns in the off season, or in the late fall, I should say, I could always cut lawns from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at night before it got too dark. So we literally dated all day. And then on the days you had off, I would cut my lawns in the morning, get done by 2.
He literally trained his business just like
upside down. People are like, why you cut my grass at 6 p.m.? Normally you come at 9 a.m.
I got a girlfriend.
Because I got a hottie on my arm, and priorities change, right? So that was it was a really cool experience. And then same thing cutting grass in the next season. I could pull lawns forward, push lawns back, cut in the morning, take the evening off, take the morning off, cut at night. It was really flexible. That's what being self-employed is all about, is having some flexibility. And so that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So our dating experience, fast forward 13 months, we decided to get engaged.
Well, first, for our 1-year anniversary, you took me to a super nice dinner. We went to, there's like the GM building, the RenCen in downtown Detroit. There was a restaurant on the top floor that it used to spin, and I mean, like a really nice dinner. And he would knock off his knife,
the Coach insignia,
over and over and over. Like he probably did this like half a dozen times.
Drop the
off
knife.
The table, get down on one knee, pick it up, and make like this face like he's about to say something like really, you know, like
don't do that.
Oh my god, I started crying a few times, and then I just got mad.
This is suit and tie type place. It's the Coach Insignia restaurant, 72nd floor back then of the GM RenCen, downtown Detroit. Beautiful. Like in terms of ambiance and view, probably the best place I know of in this like really Metro Detroit in you know, southeast Michigan. It's since closed. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think actually I heard that they're renovating it.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
Would be nice.
We'll have to go check that out. But it was really interesting there because that was a really funny story for us with the crumbs.
Oh, so Brian loves to eat. He loves to eat, and he doesn't mind spending good money on good food.
I like experiences too.
Yeah,
like
we're big memory like people.
Yeah.
And so he's just like throwing down on this steak in this really nice restaurant, just enjoying himself, you know.
White linens.
And he's not the cleanest eater. If you've ever been out to eat with us or have seen a video, probably.
I have to like wash my hands all the time.
And you know, in nice restaurants, they come around with like the little crumb scooper thing. I don't know what it's called. It looks like a switchblade kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And he had spilled red wine steak sauce on the table. Not a huge spot, but you know, just like maybe a quarter size. And he put his bread plate on top of it to just hide it because he was kind of embarrassed. You know, really nice restaurant, white tablecloth.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know etiquette.
The guy comes around to like clear off the table, and you know, with his little like
switchblade.
Yeah. And he goes to move the plate out of the way, and Brian puts both hands on top and goes,
I go, and the guy goes,
yes.
And so he pulls my plate away and goes to, and he like looks down.
And Brian literally like sits on his hands and like has the cutest like puppy dog like like face.
Like he wanted to get the crumbs, which I realize now, but I've never been to a restaurant where they did that. We've ate at nicer restaurants, but none of that did the little switchblade thing. And he like took it, there's crumbs, and saw the red wine, like couple dots all like.
And the guy totally was like.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so, and I'm like, you know, what do I know? But I tried to hide it. I was so embarrassed. Like, I was like, and the guy's like, that's okay, it happens all the time.
It was hilarious.
But I tried to hide it. But anyway, that was our.
So I thought he was gonna propose that night. So remember, like when we first started dating, and it probably was no less than 3 months, I had said, I love you, like we're getting married. You agreed, I love you, you were getting married. And so for us to then have delayed for like that, you know, next 6 months when you're a girl especially, I'm like, where's my ring? Like.
So I tried to pretend to give it to her about 10 times that night at the restaurant. So.
And you've done it in a few other places too.
Yeah.
And
all right, so we're gonna cut it there because we're already getting lengthy on this video.
Yeah.
And so we have a ton of dating stories, and we'll share more of them as we do more vlogs. So that was our first year of dating. It went pretty quick. All right, anything else you want to share with them, because we're gonna wrap this one up?
Nope, I think that's it.
We're gonna talk about our engagement and getting married.
Yep.
In the next video, and that'll probably be a little bit lengthy one too, 15 to 20 minutes. But that was crazy fun. A lot of stress, a lot of drama. We had to pay for it on our own in cash, and we had 6 months to figure out how to come up with $20,000, right?
Yeah, we went from dating to engaged in 13 months, but engaged to married in 9.
Yeah, and the 3 months where we got engaged, January through March, April, I wasn't working.
Winter,
it was winter, and I wasn't doing very much with my lawn business in terms of cleanups and stuff in the spring. It was just mowing grass money. So we had to come up with 20 grand by that fall, October, and it was a really, really crazy miracle kind of scenarios and situations. So if you enjoy this one, stay tuned for part 3 because that's going to be probably the meatier video that we can do for you guys and talk about our wedding and that whole fun stuff. So all that being said, we're over now. You good?
Yep.
All right, guys. FPO2 part 2, take 2, cut. Edit a large goal cards for 10 minutes.